Growing up in Hanover Park on the Cape Flats, I never thought I'd see anything beyond the barrel of a gun or the inside of a jail cell. From a young age, I was caught in the gravitational pull of gang life. It was all I knew, all I saw. My childhood was a blur of dodging rival gangs, police sirens, and the constant hum of fear that vibrated through our streets. I was a mixed-race kid in a mixed-race area, and the lines in the sand were drawn not by color, but by gang affiliation. I was in and out of Polesmore prison more times than I can count. It became a second home, a twisted rite of passage. But nothing, not the concrete walls nor the clanging of the cell doors, ever truly got through to me. Then came the big one, attempted murder in possession of an illegal firearm. I shot a rival gang member. I did my 8 years, but I came out harder, colder, and even more entrenched in the life. Peddling drugs, robberies, breaking and entering, that was my everyday. The streets had a hold on me, a grip that felt unbreakable. Then came the day it all changed, ironically over something as petty as shoplifting. I was trying to swipe some groceries, nothing major, when a male police officer nabbed me. As he cuffed me, he looked at me with this weary, familiar gaze. "Not you again, son," he said, shaking his head. "You know, there's another way out of this." He started talking about Jesus. Now, I grew up Muslim. My family, my community, that's what we knew. So hearing about Jesus, it just sounded like noise to me. I brushed him off, scoffed, and got ready for my 3-month stint. But something was different this time. In that cold, hard jail cell, a voice started to echo in my mind. It was faint at first, then louder, clearer. And then came the visions. Flashes of light, feelings of peace I'd never experienced before. I tried to ignore it, to shut it out, but it was relentless. Finally, the voice spoke directly, unmistakably. "Accept Jesus." It wasn't a suggestion. It felt like a command, a truth I couldn't deny. I didn't understand it, not fully, but the conviction was overwhelming. When I walked out of Polesmore 3 months later, I was a different man. I was clean, truly clean, for the first time in my adult life. I started going to church, a Christian in a predominantly Muslim community. It was strange, and I got some looks, some whispers, but I didn't care. Some people might say I chose this path, but honestly, it didn't feel like a choice. It felt like I was chosen, like I was finally pulled out of the darkness I thought was my destiny. I didn't have a choice but to follow Jesus Christ. He broke the chains that held me, and for the first time, I felt truly free.
It was in 2022, in Johannesburg, South Africa, the city of gold, where I had it all, or so I thought. By day, I was a sharp accountant in Sandton, the financial heart of South Africa. And by night, I was living it up in a swanky apartment in Fourways. My life was a playground, and frankly, I was a king on that playground, especially when it came to women. I prided myself on my conquests, particularly from places like Alexandra and Soweto, the townships where I'd go looking for girls who, I wrongly assumed, would be more impressed by my flashy car and Sandton swagger. It was a shallow existence, built on fleeting connections and a relentless pursuit of gratification. Then, things started to unravel. It wasn't a sudden crash, but a slow, insidious decay. My relationships, even the casual ones, became hollow. I started feeling an emptiness that no amount of late-night revelry or new conquests could fill. I'd wake up with a gnawing dissatisfaction, a sense that something vital was missing. One particularly rough morning, after a night I barely remembered, I looked at myself in the mirror and didn't recognize the man staring back. He looked tired, jaded, and utterly lost. That was the first nudge, the whisper that maybe there was more to life than what I was chasing. I remembered hearing people talk about finding peace in faith, so I half-heartedly decided to seek Jesus. I attended a few church services, listened to sermons, and even attempted to pray. But my heart wasn't in it. I was still clinging to my old ways, unwilling to truly let go of the lifestyle that defined me. I wanted a quick fix, a spiritual antidote that wouldn't require me to change. Unsurprisingly, I found nothing. The emptiness persisted, and the feeling of being lost only deepened. It took something far more drastic to finally break through my stubbornness. Life has a way of humbling you, and for me, it was a brutal blow. I lost my job in Santon due to some questionable financial decisions I'd made, fueled by my increasingly reckless lifestyle. The flashy car was repossessed, and I couldn't afford my four-ways apartment anymore. Suddenly, I was stripped bare, with no job, no car, and no place to live. All those friends who flocked to my expensive dinners and club nights vanished into thin air. I was truly alone, and the shame was unbearable. Homeless and desperate, I ended up sleeping in my car when I still had it, and then eventually on the streets of downtown Joburg. The contrast from my life in four-ways was stark and humiliating. One cold, rainy night, huddled under a flimsy tarp, shivering and hungry, I hit rock bottom. I remembered that faint voice from months ago, the one that urged me to seek Jesus. This time, however, there was no escaping it. A woman from a local soup kitchen, seeing my despair, invited me to her church. I went, not out of faith, but out of sheer desperation for a warm meal and a dry place to sit. As the pastor spoke, his words resonated with a truth that pierced through my brokenness. He spoke of forgiveness, of redemption, and of a love that was unconditional, regardless of past mistakes. It was as if he was speaking directly to me. I finally broke down, tears streaming down my face. In that moment of complete surrender, I truly accepted Jesus into my life. It wasn't a half-hearted attempt this time. It was a desperate plea from a broken man. And in that instant, a peace I had never known flooded my being. It wasn't easy, and rebuilding my life has been a long journey. But I'm no longer the man I once was. I found a new purpose, a new direction, and a genuine joy that no amount of money or fleeting pleasure could ever provide.